Come here to me before we end. Are we saying on Monday night? What we do next? We said Monday night live and Wednesday recorded. Are we just going to say at the end, last rant and the raising of the season or something like that on Monday?
Well, technically, we've started the recording. So at the start of the show, Jamie correctly identifies that we've got some plans for next week. We've got Punchestown, right? Tuesday through to the Saturday. And we have, like, loosely talked about it, we mate. So, yeah, I think we said Monday live, if you're happy to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And then, was it Wednesday or Thursday we're doing another one?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll bang them out. Because obviously, with it being stretched across the 5 days and it not being, obviously, it's a big festival with lots of decent runners, but not as big a festival as Cheltenham. We want to wait for final decks because everything will just expire otherwise. So we'll do a couple or a few videos next week just to really ramp out the back end of it. But yeah, we'll do a ranting and racing type episode Monday as well. So getting the viewers on for any of you that's interested in that. So obviously make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you like the video. Make sure you comment with your best bet for the jump season finale of Sandown. Jamie, we've obviously been through the card. It looks like quite good, I would say, in the fact that there's some nice, good races to look at. There's quite some competitive action. It's obviously not the standard that we've just been spoilt with at Cheltenham and then even especially Aintree, and obviously some of the standard we would look forward to Punchestown. But Willie's sending a few over, which is good to see. I think with the results this week, with a few odds-on shots being beat from that yard, it does just go to show that just because Willie's sent a horse over doesn't mean it's definitely going to pick up win prize money. But there's some good races to try and figure out. We will obviously go through them one by one. I'm going to pull the racing post bit up on the screen. I'm going to do that now. But from my general view of the whole card is it's good quality. I'm going to be there Saturday, so I'm excited to see the racing. But I'm struggling at the moment to get too excited about big bets or anything that I'd strongly fancy, but we'll allude to that as we go in. How was your first thought with it, mate? Is there anything you're excited to back to see race, or are you the similar disposition to me?
A back to sea race, Dave. I put it that way, Joe. It's definitely one of those. I wouldn't be going super, super crazy on it. I came down on a few, right, that caught the eye. Obviously, one was I let you mention that. The other one out of the three was Geezer Rockstar for Harry Fry.
He straight in with the first race.
Yeah. He beat a Tony Martin horse called Zandabad at Ascot. His form was fourth, pulled up for that race, but then Harry Fry came out and obviously improved the better ground because it was really good ground that day, the last day at Ascot. But I backed the Tony Martin horse and he out-battled him now. It wouldn't be hard to out-battle Zandabad in a battle, to be honest with you. But the one I came down at, and he's 25 to 1, I see on my thing here. Yeah, 25 to 1 best price on Bet365. Am I right? Am I right? Bet365? Yeah. Yes, it is, yeah. And it's Hellwin for Alan King and Tom Cannon. He was second. I see, obviously, we have a lot of people, I wouldn't disrespect their opinion, who've tipped off Secret Squirrel for this. I suppose one thing I have about Secret Squirrel, Bass gave it a good ride, actually, the last day in Taunton. But he got his own way, and it was an aggressive ride. But, not many horses on the hurdle track, especially, go from the front and get their own way in a handicap of this size in Sandown. So that's put me off because I thought he sulked behind Fireflare the time before Taunton. He just wouldn't be for me. The only reason I like Enemy is getting a £5 pull with Secret Square. He was second to Booster Bob in a listed race on Tingle Creek Day. And then he was fourth at Kempton behind Lump Sum, Fiercely Proud. And he was beaten 12 lengths that day. And he's getting pulled at the weights at most of these. He's course form. I think he's a bit forgotten about. I'm going to take a stab in the dark. He's 25 to 1. But if we were just back to watch it, I wouldn't be going mad. I put that with you. But he just caught my eye, and I'll take the 25 to 1. I'm happy.
Nice. I like that. Alan King on a Saturday as well. See, I've got no problem with trainers on certain days of the week. Obviously, you want to do the GG weekend watch. Andrew Mount always says about it, but it didn't stop him getting Edward Stone and what was the other one? The hurdler.
Favour and Fortune.
No, well, Favour and Fortune won as well, didn't he? Who's the one I'm thinking of? Emma Tom won the handicap hurdle, didn't he? But yeah, Helm's definitely got a chance. Unexposed on this type of ground, I guess, isn't he? It would be the only question mark around him for me. But it's a 20-runner handicap, right? This is a race that Getaway Trump won it years ago, and I looked at it and just thought, I can't have getaway trump. Then he goes and wins it, and I was like, oh, it's fucking obvious, isn't it? I think that's probably the same feeling I've got for the race this year. I feel like you could probably make a reasonable enough case that you could pick a number out of a hat, and then you could probably sell that to people as a potential selection here. So it does look a good looking race. I probably need to do a little bit more work on it because you're getting 5 places, a fifth of the odds in here, right? You can see it's 7-1 the field. This is probably a prime one to stick a few little multis on for races later in the day. The last 2 races, especially Novice handicap chase and the handicap hurdle at the end. I reckon there'll be some doubles in there. But as it stands at the moment, Secret Squirrel, you touched on a little bit there. That some people, like some good judges, have potentially put him up. There's a few people that I speak to quite religiously on top of Jamie, and they are pretty keen on Secret Squirrel. But I'm a little bit lukewarm on him. But I was bullish on the rest, and those same people told me he wouldn't win, so they probably know more than I do. So it's worth a mention. I will just say that I'm breeding Fassa. This is the one that Jamie's got a small interest in as well. I think this horse has got a chance, right? 2 of the last 3 years have been won by 4-year-olds. Obviously, Under Control won it last year when Iberico Lord was strangled to not win the race, wasn't he? But this and Breeding Fassa ran at Cheltenham in the heavy ground. The heavy ground, wouldn't have, I'm not saying it necessarily wouldn't have, completely suited him, although I don't think it did. But it didn't allow him to travel all the way to the end of the race, whereas he travelled probably 85% of the race like a pretty good horse. Early season form, I still think looks quite good, even though that's on sort of soft ground as well. But I think back on this better ground, he's not had the choice to run in the races before on better ground. It's just been what the weather's been. We know how wet everything it's been. I think on better ground will suit him. He's been dropped a little bit from that Boodles race. And the race before when he ran at Musselburgh, I wouldn't believe that run. I feel like Nichols and his horses tuned up to be winning at that particular meeting without a care for what they would do at Cheltenham after, whereas Breeding Fassa was probably looked at as, let's have a day out, let's not worry too much about what happens here because the next target is the Boodle. So big handicap in this horse at some point. While he's still this 4-year-old, he does get the £8 from his elders. There may be races at the start of next season. We talked about this just before we came on, like Masterson's Holden Hurdle type races. There's 4-year-old hurdles at the start of the year that could be something for him, but I don't see why when there's 50 grand up for grabs, they wouldn't be having a poke. I think they will be trying. So I think he's got a bit of a chance, but it's a hard race to get really excited about and to get heavily involved in. And I would struggle to put you off of anything really if anyone in the comments had something that they fancied. The problem with it is, again, like I said, Jamie, you could make a case for most of them if you just picked a number. I could probably pick holes with every single horse as well. And sometimes you just want a well-rounded one that you can't take any shit about. But unfortunately, I think the whole race, Novice's handicap hurdling, a few of them have been played with all season, and a few of them are probably a bit unexposed. Right. Speaking of unexposed horses, we've got the Oaksy Jakes coming up, mate. The Manor Challenge Trophy. Manor obviously used to dot up in here. We've got a 10-year-old and an 11-year-old. That's Easy Game, the 10-year-old, and the 11-year-old is Our Dancer. You can see Easy Game's starting to be nibbled in a little bit. 11-2 top price at the moment. The Real Whacker 5-2 favourite. Hitman 3-1 trying blinkers for the first time instead of the cheap pieces now. Garlaw 13-2, and then bigger the prices, the rest of them. So for me, mate, because obviously this is a grade 2, so there is a weight allowances and all that sort of stuff. Easy Game's got to give weight to everything in here, and I guess the Real Whacker's not been the same horse as he was when he was a novice, I don't think. But on these terms and in this sort of level of ability, this probably is his sort of marker. Outside of Grade 1 company, I think he's got a pretty good record. I just don't necessarily trust him completely, but obviously you can see why he's fighting to. That's probably about the right price. Hitman's the same, right? We know he's a bit of a dog, don't we? As much as I've got a soft spot for him, I couldn't bet him at 3-1. I sort of fell on Easy Game purely for the fact that you look at the. I think it's between those three that will win it. Hitman could easily just dog it, and Easy Game could pick it up. But I remember Easy Game battering Kenboy a couple of times, giving weight away and running on good ground. The ground will be fine for him. Even if it was an absolute bog, it would be fine. Cheap pieces probably are a little bit of a stretch. I quietly thought he might run a race at Aintree, even though it was a decent enough race, but he didn't run well there. Maybe he needed that after a long break. I just think on paper, I can't imagine the Real Whacker or Hitman battering a Kenboy type horse. And I know he's a bit older now. I just think Easy Game's better than all of these. I know he's rated 160, but I would imagine with the Irish way that the weights come over, I think he's a bit better than his mark. Although he's got to give weight away, I think he can comfortably do that. Smaller fields is what suits him. I reckon Easy Game's got the chance. But again, it's painful, right? We're doing a preview for the Saturday racing to get people excited. I wouldn't want to get overly excited on this, right? I'll probably have a small stakes 10 or 20 quid on Easy Game for the interest. But have you got more of a bullish opinion? I mean, Bet365 are top price and they're doing a fifth of the odds first three. Each way, Easy Game, is that the money?
No. Well, I don't know. This is a tough one. I'm like, you're against horses that I suppose since he won his RSA to rear back, or I don't know what's going on with him. But I think the triple suit him better. And look, if he gets a freebie out front, he could put a lot in trouble here. Hitman, to be honest with you, 2 miles 6 will stretch him. I don't think he'll go through it. Easy game, like he used to give way to everybody. I'll Dancer, fantastic lady, short fan black. Surely we're not good enough for that. But the thing is, if Real Racker goes really fast, and I'm hoping he does, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I think if he goes really fast, I think Gala will just win, won't he? On the better ground, and if they go like handicap pace. Yeah, and I see there, obviously, it's obviously shorter prices on Bet365, but he's 4-1 there now. He's in third favourite if bet it. Easy game on Bet365. Yeah, it's not a confidence selection day, but just the only reason I come down, if they go quick enough, like the Real Racker hopefully will, he'll set it up for him, and I think you just scoot away from him at the end. So I go with Gallo.
Nice. Could be one of them as well, couldn't it? Because like I said, I'm only having smallish bets for it. I don't think I'm doing all my bets video this weekend because I don't think I want to bet anything early. Like I don't have that strong an opinion on it. Garlow could be an interesting one, couldn't he? Like you're saying there, Bet365 that are doing the 3 places at the moment, they're the shortest price, probably scared of him or anti-post liabilities. But when it gets to the day, at least, they'll still be doing the 3 places. You never know, other bookies might be doing it. There could be some sort of scummy each way bet. Look at us, mate. It's a 7-runner race, and we're talking about scummy each way bet. But it looks a good race to watch, doesn't it? But I can't have, I don't think I can have Al Dance. I can't have Fantastic Lady. I can't have Straw Fan Junk. I could feasibly see Garlaw, the Real Whacker, and Hitman, but it's just in my head. I just feel like if Easy Game is turns up, he's got to be better than all of these. But if I was that confident, 11-2 on a horse that I think is better than all of these, I should be having a lump on, shouldn't I? But I don't want to do that. Gamble responsibly. It is season finale, but yeah, it's a tricky one, isn't it? Again, like with Willie Mullins sending his horse over, it does increase a bit of the book, doesn't it? We get some bigger prices on some, but it does confuse things slightly because you don't know whether he's just running in for the sake of picking up a couple of grand or he's running in because he's absolutely firing. Normally, Willie wouldn't send stuff overseas unless he needed to, especially with Punchestown around the corner. Speaking of Punchestown around the corner and just sending horses over for the sake of it, the Celebration Chase. Do you remember 12 months ago when JONBON got absolutely hammered in the market? Like, I cannot believe how confident he was bet as a novice going into open company, and he was mightily impressive in the race last year. Slower chase at the beginning of the season. I've said that numerous times. I thought he was really, really impressive in that. Aintree Run was obviously good, right? He's going and beating horses. But for all that I like JONBON, I just like the market is just 100% spot on the way that the two are priced, because I think that El Fabiolo is just the better horse. But we've seen with both of them, they do have not the most perfect jumping, like not necessarily techniques, but just don't have the most probably perfect jumping ability, I would probably say. Like they can throw in the good ones, but I'd say more often than not, they're getting over to the other side, which is fine. They get the job done, don't they? Now, we saw JONBON make that big mistake, didn't we? And then he came back and obviously did what he did. We've seen El Fabiolo make a mistake. Potentially, he's going to come back from that and go well. And obviously, when JONBON ran in that Arkle last year, he made a few mistakes in over those fences, and he was even better at Sandown after it. So you never know. The experience for El Fabiolo, I wouldn't look at it as a negative and think, oh, he's going to jump bad now. It could, if anything, it might give him a bit more respect for a few of his fences, which will suit him. But long and short of it, mate, is it's a match between El Fabio and JONBON. But I just, like I said, I think they've got it priced it right. If you ran this 10 times, El Fabiolo wins it 6 times, JONBON probably wins it 3 times, and then you might get a bit of an upset to win the other one. So they are fully just priced as the value. I was half hoping that the JONBON money would come like it did last year, and I might better bet El Fab, because if El Fab went even money or bigger, I'd get right stuck in. Doesn't know that's happening. He's only just shortened up since the this afternoon's final decks. I don't think JONBON will ever get pushed to a big enough price where I'd want to bet him, but I know it's mad. If I could get something like 7-2 or 4-1 about him, I'd probably have a token bet on JONBON, even though I know it's punty. But surely nothing beats them two, and surely, for the fact that JONBON's 3 for 3 at Sandown, surely El Fabiolo just does him again, doesn't he?
I don't know. Do you not be worried about El Fabiolo at the railway fences?
Like, yes, potentially. I worry about almost every horse at the railway fences.
Yeah. I'd be really worried.
We know JONBON handles the track, don't we? That's the big thing, isn't it?
Yeah, well, like exactly what you said, he's 3 from 3. Like JONBON seems to be mustered around Sandown compared to any other horse. You know, like Edwardstone, look, whatever Edwardstone is, he's good as around. He's a King Henry, Henry VIII novice chase winner, and he's a Dingle Creek winner. I suppose the only thing that I looked down through the form, Dave, last year, I thought one of FABIOLO's most impressive performances. I know, look, it's the end of the season, and he used to get the toe in the race and Dysart Dynamo, and it was on better ground. So to me, he'll probably jump out of the ground better if, like the one about he doesn't need soft ground. He needs good ground to jump better, in my opinion. So he's going to get it here. Would I want to be taking 4 to 6 and horse that flopped at Cheltenham and has jumping issues? No. Would I want to be back in JONBON 94 after the hard race he had to try to become flated only at the entry in the Melling Chase? No. So I'd say I'm going to sit this out. My head says JONBON will win, but my heart says exactly what you says. FABIOLO is just a better horse. So that's the way I think about the rest. To be honest with you,
it's a hard one, isn't it? Because I know other people have other views, right? And I know like someone will be right. So there might be someone out there that says FABIOLO is the biggest stonewall cert. Like should have been 2s on in the champion chase. Obviously got beat. But then people will say there's value, or someone will make an argument for JONBON. Obviously, one of them will go and win. They might look quite smart. But I would think, in my humble opinion, if anybody is out there thinking that one of those two is value and they should be smashing them up, obviously it's result dependent in it. I think they're just plain wrong. Something I will definitely do, which I need to give the viewers a little bit of the special Dave that is the heart on the sleeve stuff, right? Nube Negra, right? We know all these, like he wins in January, like he can't do it. He's not even very good at Sandown either. He's going to be a mad price on the machine. I just wonder with the Skeltons obviously trying to like pick up some prize money or whatever they're doing, like they've got no chance of really beating Willie Mullins anyway. He doesn't even need to run FABIOLO, but like I feel like they've got to try with Nube Negra. He's been a fairly passive ride in some of his other races this season. He'd be the sort of one that I'd be looking at, obviously, like a bet, didn't we? I think I could probably bet him on the exchange at big prices, and I might be able to lay him in running to make a few quid, but I'm just searching, looking for a bet there, so it's not really the best advice. Anywho, we will move on. There's 6 races that I think are pretty easy to pick the winner of. And then there's one race I think is real trappy. We're not onto that one just yet. Bet365 Gold Cup. I think this is a piece of piss to find the winner in it. Now, I did the GG thing. I'll probably put it in the description, the cheat sheet. Go give that a click because link clicks in it gets me some sort of thumbs up from GG, but gives you some stats on their 10-year and 5-year trends. Like, did you know, for example, Jamie, that the last 10 winners of this race haven't won a race at Sandown? Typically, you have horses where its course form's massive in it. Loads of them haven't even run the track, to be fair. But when you look at qualifiers in previous years, like loads of them haven't won at the track before. So it doesn't necessarily whittle it down. But if you do use the stats to whittle it down, Does He Know came out on top. And he's a 30 to 1. Who's giving that sort of price? He's a 25 to 1 poke. So he comes out on the stats stuff. You, like I say, you go have a look at that. You don't have to use all of them to find just the top one, but it can help whittle it down, right? The one that I am going to definitely bet, I mean, I feel like I'm going to go second on this one just for the fact that I've gone first all the time. I think I'll go second on this one. There's a few I could make a bit of a case for, to be fair, but there's two that I will definitely be betting. But I'd imagine on the day after a couple of Guinnesses, I could probably back 4 or 5. How big's your shortlist in this race? Because it is, I think this is as good a renewal of this race as I can ever remember. It looks proper decent. 1 and 1 only.
Mm-hmm.
Go on, get it in there.
I really fancy Am I Right? I'm just very annoyed that I missed the price. Was he 14, 16 earlier? I think he was, wasn't he? Yeah, 14 to 1 I see here. Yeah, 8 to 1 now. Yeah. I really fancy this horse, Dave, and the ground's finally come for it. It was pulled out of the Kim Muir. Really fancy for a Kim Muir. You know, the winner of the Kim Muir is going to want to win a grade 1 at Aintree. 5th in the Paddy Power. 4th that day was James Birthday. Didn't he run in the top him? Was he second in the top him, wasn't he, in the entry?
Arizona Cardinal beat him, yeah.
Yeah. Eating of the Waters, was 3rd at Cheltenham in the Ultima. Ran well for a long way in the Grand National. This horse had to spin around Cheltenham, obviously, to start the season on better ground. Saddle slipped, probably would have won, probably blessing the skies in the win. Won by Stablemate Wacker Clan. He seems to be a fresh, unexposed horse, Dave, and I think he's better, should be better than 1-4-2. Is it a bit head high, maybe, for what it's achieved? But the ground's finally come for the horse, and fresh, ready to go. You know it'll jump well because it's Henry de Bromhead. What's not to like? So am I right for me each way?
Nice. I mean, there's so many runners, right? I feel like, I mean, I'd imagine by the time it gets to the day, you probably might have another little saver in there. But yeah, I'm definitely betting Am I Right as well. Price wise, that you've touched on, he was a bit bigger. He's one of those. Maybe it's done me a favor, right? Because I think if he was 14, 16s, I'd probably be backing him each way, which is potentially the right thing to do at the price. But I do agree with you. Like, the ground's finally come for him. Henry's been holding on to this horse. Lots of trainers, right, will just run them. Like you look with like that Barley stock, or even say Majestic. If the conditions aren't to suit, they're in the race. You might as well run them. What harm is it going to do hiding for another race? Whereas it's almost like Henry's not saying he doesn't want to like risk the horse, because that's like saying that it would be unsafe for him to race on that type of ground. But I think he doesn't want to risk him running really well and just getting beat because of the ground. And this is going to make it better for him. I think he wants this ground not because he can't travel in the other stuff. I think it's easier for him to jump in this stuff. And I think he's the most, well, he's the best handicapped horse in the race as far as I'm concerned. I know what you're saying with the fact that 142 could be a tad high on what he's done, but he's just got like an air about him, a bit about him. And even when he does make mistakes, right, he still manages to compensate with an engine. Like I reckon this horse is easily a 150s horse, especially in the respect of this being a stay and chases race. Like if you ran some of these stay and chases off of the 160s against proper grade one horses like Gallop in the Shop, they'd be nowhere near him. But in handicapping terms, I mean, I think he's got a stone in hand. So yeah, I'm with you. I will definitely have a window on Am I Right? But I've got to bet Rapper as well, right? 25 to 1 still available. He's only gone up £1 for that Ascot run behind 300-3-5. 300-3-5's gone up £4. If that race had been 3 miles, 4 furlongs, Rapper would have gone past him, would have beaten him. Just a massive price discrepancy in there. And it's like, he's another one that does his winning in January. But I talked about him earlier in the season. Like he was due to run at Sandown, and I thought he had a bit of a chance. They kept putting him out on heavy ground because it was unsuitable. I just think they got a little bit lucky with the fact that he unseated or fell in that Kim Muir. He's not a horse that makes mistakes when he's jumping, to be fair. He's just a horse that sometimes doesn't travel. He's run round here before over 3 miles and was a little bit outpaced, but then did stay on towards the end. I just think if this, like, it's obviously going to be attritional. I just think on the type of ground we're going to get, Rapper, like, I genuinely can't see how he's not in the first handful. 5 places with most bookies. Sky Bet are doing 7 places. So I don't know if some bookies might extend it to 6 places. Probably not because they're tight asses. But I think Rapper's like an absolutely stonking each way bet. But obviously I've been banging his drum all season, so a few people will probably get put off by that. But he's got a proper chance. Comes in decent form, doesn't he? Manila Kakuna, that Willie Mullins has said doesn't travel very well, does he? He's £5 higher than Am I Right? I don't think he's as well handicapped, but I do think Manila Kakuna's definitely got a race in him. But I'm not so worried about the travelling as Willie Mullins is. But obviously, if Willie Mullins has made a comment on it, it is enough to put you off in it. But and again, he's priced too short. He should be a 16 to 1 poke or bigger, I reckon. So I've talked about plenty in there. Am I Right? I'll have a window on, or I have, and I've backed Rapper. I've had a healthy each way bet on Rapper, I'll be honest with you, but I did get 50s because Paul Keeley ticked him up as well, and I saw that the price was get ruined. Any more in that race, or should we move on?
Nope.
Right, Jamie, this was a race where I wanted to be bullish, and I wanted to be right, and I wanted to be able to give us the winner, and I wanted to be confident, and I wanted to be all over one certain horse. But the final declarations have made this race a bit of a puzzle, to be honest with you. And then you got to throw in the fact that this wasn't a race, I don't think it was a race anyway, that had anti-post prices on it. So you couldn't get a bit of a feel of what the prices were beforehand. When that happens, it does mean that the bookmakers don't have to react to like weight of money. They just sort of price it up. And unfortunately, they do tend to price these ones up quite well at final declarations. It's a decent, really, really good renewal in the grand scheme of the fact that it's a grade 2 hurdle in the past. It's been won by some absolute dogs. I'm not going to say who I fancy or where I was sort of drawn into, but I'd be curious to know how you see this one. We've got the dead 8, so there's 3 places up for grabs. No bookmakers are offering extended places. How very generous of them. But as much as there's 8 runners in here, right, I don't think all 8 have got a chance of winning this. Could you whittle it down to a couple or just one?
Very tough. It's annoying. Obviously, the favourite's running. I didn't think he'd run. So I didn't think he'd run. I thought they'd save him for Punchestown. But look, technically,
sorry, just to cut in, so just to make devil's advocate, if Impere Pass wasn't running, who would you have been wanting to bet?
Sir Gerhard.
Yeah, same. I was gonna fuck. This was killed me. I was gonna smash into him. Anyway, sorry. So just because Impere Pass is running now, how do you see the race after that?
But like on ratings, Dave, they're actually level because even like he's won 6-1 Imperial Pass and just Sir Gerhard's won 5-5 and there's £6. He give him £6 Imperial Pass to give him £6 to Sir Gerhard. So
and Sir Gerhard's better than 155, isn't he? Surely.
Do you know what I mean? Like he wasn't great the last day, was he at Cork? But look, this is his trip, and look, he won't mind the ground, and do you know what I mean? Like Imperial Pass and Langerdon have had hard races around Aintree. Like that was a war of attrition up the Aintree straight. I don't know. I just one of those. It's a tough one race to pick out. You could look. To be honest with you, the bottom four are not for me. Where the top four are, kind of. I know that's just so obvious to say, obviously, because they're there in the line. But no, I think if the old, like, out of all these, like, who's proven really, I would like. I don't know. I'm stuttering now. Each way, I suppose I just couldn't put you off 9-1 Sir Gerhard, to be honest, on the ground, and I think he's like the old form Sir Gerhard, who I thought it was a really good horse, and this probably is his trip. What's not to put you off 9-1? I think the horse that you like as well has to have a chance. Paddy Adam, like he liked the ground as well, surely, but a bit better ground to make him stay. But does he need pace to be seen to better effect? Maybe, maybe not. But tentative vote for Sir Gerhard each way at 9-1, Dave. Tentative.
Nice. The biggest bugbear, and I mean this with the greatest of respect, is Patrick's on him, isn't he? Like if you talk about like jockeys that claim weight and all that sort of stuff, Paul Townend's got to be worth £7 just as a better jockey than some others. And I don't know whether that's reflected in the price, to be honest with you, because obviously in Impere Pass being in here, you would expect Sir Gerhard to be a much bigger price. Here's where I sort of am with it. I was hoping to be able to smash Sir Gerhard. I was hoping that Paul Townend would be on him. I was hoping that we wouldn't have Impere Pass in here. I think as a fan of racing, though, I'm glad Impere Pass is here because I think he would have needed that run at Aintree. And I know it was a battle in the finish and there'll be arguments whether he should have lost the race in the steward's room and Langerdon was unlucky and all that sort of stuff. But I can only think he'll be better. I think he'll be sort of maybe buried in a little bit more in this. There'll be a lot more like horses to go at. They obviously understand the threat that Langerdon potentially could be now. But I don't believe that Langerdon genuinely, week in, week out, is equal to Impere Pass like it looked at Aintree. It's obviously a different beast here. We know with Langerdon that he comes alive in the spring for whatever reason, and obviously whatever's making him come alive at Cheltenham was obviously still good with him during Aintree. But you look at those runs, right? It was a decent run at Cheltenham going left-handed, and it was a decent run at Aintree going left-handed as well. His spring runs have come that way round, so it's hard to digest whether it's the track going the other way round. He has one round here before in a handicap hurdle as well at this time of year, so I think he should be okay here. But I just feel like Impere Pass will have the measure of him again. But I wouldn't be confident enough after that last one to say that Langerdon couldn't beat him, and I'd feel like an absolute idiot if I smashed into Impere Pass. So I'm sort of stuck with it. Feels similar, like Sir Gerhard as an each way bet's probably the way to do it. I think Paddy Adam has got a chance. I just wonder how much that Aintree run has taken out of both Impere Pass and Langerdon, because it was hard from the last fence or the last hurdle to the line. But yeah, I don't know if you can be betting like that, can you? Worried about a run a couple of weeks ago. It's a hard one, like real fucking hard to pick the winner of this, to be bullish on any of it. I think it'll be the same again, mate. I think there'll be people with the opinion that how is Langerdon 3-1 when he got so close to Impere Pass, and they'll want to bet him. There'll be people saying that Impere Pass is just a better horse, so why would you not want to bet him? And there will be people that say Sir Gerhard with the weights will be in there. And again, the Paddy Adam stuff, he's going to have a pace to aim at. Should suit him. The triple to be perfect for him. I think he'll like it going this way around as well at this track. It's just there's so many variables, but again, I think it's just priced up accordingly in it. So see where the market kind of moves on it. I would just say, like I said with the El FABIOLO stuff, if the price starts to drift, like if Impere Pass starts to become weak, which I can see happening, because he was 9-4 for that Aintree race at Final Decks, got back, the money kept coming for him. It was just like movement that got it in there. He's evens now. I can only imagine that the bookmakers will not be laying any money on him because they didn't do short-term anti-post. They've got no liabilities, and no one's going to be wanting to steam into him even money with the questions attached. I just wonder if he's going to start drifting out to a price where he might become bettable. And I think if Impere Pass got out to 6-4, 7-4, which I think could happen, I might end up having a couple of quid on him. So we'll see how it goes. It's just really tricky. Normally at final decks, mate, we can be bullish and we can say, "Oh, this is going to get short and this is going to get smashed up." But I think a lot of the markets have got a few of them have got to take a walk, haven't they? Right, 445 Sandown, Novice's handicap chase. This is a division that I do love. I've got a relatively strong opinion in this race of who wins it. I am doing a shop run in the morning because I was waiting for a couple of other bookies to open up and they have come up a tiny bit shorter. But what's your view on this race? Did you land on one in particular? Are you as bullish as I'm? Honestly, I'm quite bullish on one in here.
To be honest with you, Dave, if like he got last day right, they went down on trip in the grade 1 and entry. The one by phone to 50, right? So the next thing, he gets hampered at the start and he just didn't like it then after that. And that's the biggest problem with him, that he's a bit of a bio. But I think if he gets his own way in front and the way he won that day, beating Hermes Allen in the grade 1. City Isles, wasn't it? He won the City Isles that day and the rest of us was that day.
That's it, yeah. Like, we lost Hermes that day, didn't we?
Yeah, Hermes that day, yeah. I'm like, if he gets his own way in front, there's nothing to beat him. Surely to be God, no? I just can't see them getting anywhere near him. I know he's 12 stone, he's top weight, the whole lot. But he's the only grade 1 winner in that race. So I just think, like, although Peter, like, he's weak, and I know, he only went a couple of pound, and Freddie Gingle takes the £5 off, and Vlad, the Golden Sun, who, like, is running for Nichols as well, he's 14-1. Made a mistake at the last day. Like, I never got going. One in Kempton previous, probably likes the better ground, going right-handed. Teresita was in that race. More Thatcher won at Ascot the last day, a bit of a nothing race. I mean, like, look at that race the last day, like that Frere Darm run. Like he must be the biggest dog that ever walked the planet Earth that Skelton's ever trained. I'll never ever back that horse again, by the way. But no, I think if he gets a soft lead and if he gets out in front, anyway you're fated at the very, very start. But if he gets a lead, I think nothing will catch him. I think he'll win. Yeah, Nickelback. It's unoriginal. He's the favourite, not in here, but no, I just think he'll win.
Yes, give the viewers what they want. I'm exactly like the exact same opinion on Nickelback, right? And I do know the boyo stuff at the start, right? And again, people might say, "Oh, you might as well wait to see what happens at the start and bet him all that sort of stuff." Yeah. I feel like this race, right, is like properly his for the taking, and I feel like it's almost as simple as that. Like, even if horses try and test him out in front, like when he ran at Newbury in, I think it was the John Frankham when Hermes beat him. I was really impressed with Hermes. I have a soft spot for the horse. But Nickelback that day actually impressed me for the gallop that he went for such a long period of time. Now, this is going to be, I mean, it's not going to be easy to do it, but it's going to be easier to do it on this type of ground than what he's had to do earlier on in the season. And it wasn't that bad at Newbury. But when he was running at Newbury, he was going up against, like, sadly ill-fated, but a Hermes Allen, a horse that ran within a few lengths of Ville Francais, which potentially might not look that good now. Kilbeg King was in behind. But, like, a very good horse. And with all due respect to the rest of the horses in here, none of these would be able to do anything, even in like a grade 3 or like a listed race. I know that's rude. Someone will come back and peel me out with some sort of form in there. But you don't often get this in these types of races, these novice handicap chases where the sort of graded horse drops back in here. I agree with you. Like the Aintree run as well, we got Hamlet start, it was just race over. That's going to be a massive blessing in the context of this, because if he'd have had a race there, he either would have, he wouldn't have been able to do it over 2 miles, but it would have had an impact on what happens here. So I like him. I think I'm going to have a good bet on him at 100-30. I'm happy to hold that price because I think he could. I don't know what will happen with him. I don't know if I better get bigger, but if I can, I'll probably have more on. I can see him getting smashed up though. I can see him going off 2-1-ish, and I know the exchanges will be laying him a bit or pushing him out. But because he's going to want to be forwards, I don't think he is one you could look to bet a Betfair SP, because if he does get out and in front, I think immediately after the first fence he'll trade pretty short. So yeah, I'm going to go to the shop tomorrow. I'm going to go to Hills tomorrow. I'm going to have a few quid on him. I definitely feel comfortable having 100. I might have a tiny bit more on. The one other one that I wanted to give a tiny mention to is Persian Time that ran last week. I obviously tipped up Tommy's Oscar a little bit after time in, but Persian Time I do think has definitely got handicaps off his mark, and he wasn't going to win last week because he can't go that quick and he just gets found out. Darryl put him up in his column for Betfair last week, and I was thinking, oh, maybe I've got this horse wrong, that maybe he can go with the gallop, but I don't think he can. The quick turnaround obviously means they're either trying with him or they potentially weren't trying last time. But I think he's got the same problem again. Nickelback would have been able to keep up with Tommy's Oscar for sure. And I think Persian Time's going to struggle off the back of that. So he's like, I've got a half mention for him because no doubt I'll have a tenner on him at 12 just for sort of a stake saving cover. But I'd be real confident on Nickelback. You mentioned Golden Sun, Jamie. Harry Cobden's pretty much got the Jockeys Championship tied up. 7 clear, I think he is. He's got a decent book of rides tomorrow at Chepstow. He's got a few chances. I don't think Sean Bone's even got enough rides to catch up with him. It's interesting in this one, obviously, with Outlaw Peter and Golden Sun. Would you read anything into the jockey bookings there? Because surely on the last day, they're not going to be not giving him a chance of winning a race. Are they? I think Golden Sun's overpriced at 14s.
Yeah, I think he's overpriced at 14, Dave. Yeah, because the way he won in Kempton, he just didn't go a yard the last day, which I put a line through it. And I think he knows, even regardless of Outlaw Peter, is what did he go up £4 only, wasn't it? Was it £4 for winning the last day there? Like, that was a tough race against Soleil on last Saturday, I thought. So, I mean, like, he knows. So, like, he's given a horse that obviously kind of whacked the first to last day, looked after him kind of away, and look, he's probably a fresher horse than Outlaw Peter. I think he's kind of gone for more freshness than he's gone for the proven form that Outlaw Peter might back it up the following week.
Yeah, and he was so close to Iroko at the start of the season as well when he the French export, and that is genuinely good form for Iroko to do what he did at Cheltenham and at Aintree, having a setback that was supposed to be season ending. Him at 14s is mad. So this will be my approach tomorrow. I'll go and have a good bet on Nickelback to win. But obviously, I'm not scared to try and do bits with it. So sometimes I might look to lay, but I don't think I'd want to be putting a few £100 in Betfair just to have it as a liability to lay Nickelback at a short price. So I will be doing this. I will be back in probably the touchy feelies at the moment is probably 100 on Nickelback, maybe a tiny bit more. I'll probably have a tenner on Persian Time. You might go bigger than 12s, but fuck it, I'm in the shop. I'll do it. And I will, if the 14s is still there, Golden Sun, I'll have a bit on him as well. So I'll probably end up trying to lay out about 150 quid, something like that. And then try and make Nickelback a £500. Try and make Golden Sun a small winner, and then try and make Persian Time like a money back jobby. But I would be fairly confident on Nickelback if things do go his own way and all that sort of stuff, that he would be a real good bet. Like you said, a bit of a boyo though, isn't he? So I feel like I'd be stupid not to try and get a little bit of cover. But this is one of the races, obviously, you've seen if you stuck through the whole video, that we're maybe not so bullish on some other bits, but this is the sort of race where, I mean, I like to get a good bet in there. I'm probably going to get the race completely wrong, but I'm just glad you said it as well, mate. Fills me with even more confidence because you're the 4th good judge I've spoken to that agrees. It's hard to put a number on like what sort of price he should be, isn't it, I guess? But the fact is he's going to win as far as we're concerned. So obviously it does matter what price they are, but 100 to 30, you can't sniff at that. Right, the 2 mile 4 furlong handicap hurdle, the last race of the day. Kind of been thrown tiny spanner in the works. I'm pretty sure Paul Townend was jocked up on Gold Dancer immediately. Then they did the old switcheroo and put him on Same Majest. I believe that's why Bet365 are 5-1 Gold Dancer and everyone else is 11-1. Obviously, Bet365 got stung a little bit by that horse that ran in the mare's race last week when Townend was the jock, and they got the price discrepancy, or I did the little arb on there. So is what it is, right? I expected him to ride Same Majest. That is the case. I'm annoyed that Willie Mullins is sending these ones over here because I was looking to have a strong bet on Email Andy. I think he's quite good, but I'm scared. I'm scared of getting stuck into him because I think it'll be just like, I don't know, too quick for Same Majest. I don't think he'll really like it. Don't really trust this Gold Dancer as a beast of a horse. And I think the rest of them are much of a muchness, but I'm just a little bit scared. I'm a little bit scared that the makeup of the race isn't the same as it was before, but I will definitely bet Email Andy. There's 5 places up for grabs. I don't mind the 8-1 about him. I can see someone's getting bet. So if like Same Majest gets smashed up, we saw with the JP money last year on JONBON potentially, like you have to sort of follow those things in. But if they were going to bet him, they'd bet him by now, surely, Jamie. He's 6-1 at the front of the market. That's surely big enough if they think he's a good thing that they'd be backing him. So I will still go with what I was originally doing. I will back Email Andy, but I'll probably end up having, I don't know, 25 each. I'll probably have 50 each way on Email Andy. And I probably would have been looking I'd imagine he would have been close to being favourite if Same Majest wasn't in the race before. Obviously, we see that from the book. I would have been more tempted to have like 100 each way on him, like I did with Loda said he was a short head away from getting my money back. But yeah, I think I have 50 each way on Email Andy. I would have been more bullish on him. Price is compensated because Same Majest is in there, but yeah, he might just be in the grips of the handicapper now. Do you think you've got one that isn't in the grips of the handicapper that's probably a more surefire bet than playing the safety each way? Because I think they'll be in the frame.
Yeah, when I first looked at this, Dave, it was the same as you like Sam Majest and Gold Dancer for William Mullins, just putting the whole book off, like, do you know what I mean? But like Sam Majest, like he was wasn't there like in the Coral Cup, and he got soft ground, and I thought you just went too quick for him, and like why is he supposed to improve now and better ground going quicker? I couldn't have him anyway, to be honest with you, after the run after the Coral Cup. Like, he only beat Nobly Yates in an absolute bog around Limerick at Christmas, and all of a sudden he's supposed to be well handicapped. No, like they went a crawl that day. He just picked him up at the end because Nobly Yates is finished. Do you know what I mean? Like, in a way, he's finished. Look, I know he won the Cleave afterwards, and look, that's where the form came from and all that. But look, there was a woeful run in the National in my book, so he could be coming to the end of his tether. People are going to laugh. You know, I came down on two. One is Will Carver. Anyway, I think he loved the ground, but I think he could be a flat track right-handed bully. No, I know this is right-handed, but he could be a flat track Taunton Kempton horse. He loved the ground, and he just went last summer running around Mickey Mouse races on better ground. Do you know what I mean? He will like the ground, but look, that's a tipping horse that pulled up the last day at Kempton. But look, he obviously lost a shoe and he didn't run well. And what's his name? De Bindwell pulled him up pretty sharply after he made a mistake at the fourth at Kempton that day. You're going to laugh now, the horse that I fancy here, and it's not a fancy, but I just, for some other reason, I fancy him because of the way he ran in the Grade 1 last year at Aintree. He's great form figures, so for tipping a horse who can jump a fence. F3F. He's trained by Gary Moore. He's former around Sandown. He's won there twice. He ran in the Grade 1 last year behind no other than Irish Point. Katira was second. Katira's won a handicap at Aintree. Hermes Allen, let's be clear about it. You wear it well. Springwell Bay, Cranbourne, there was authorised speed. I think back over hurdles, he can't jump the thing. He's rated 134. He was good enough, obviously, they thought he was a Grade 1 novice hurdler. He was given a mark last year, 133. Now he's 134. Obviously, I thought he'd be less than that, to be honest with you. But he's judged. He's still on his third mark, judging what he did as a novice. They're coming back from chasing. He's 11-1. It's a tentative vote. And because it's not a great race and you're afraid of, everyone will be afraid of the Willie Mullins month, I think because of his form around the track, I think he'll need a little bit of better ground to jump better than he has ever jumped a hurdle or a fence. And I came down on him. Authorised speed.
I mean, I like it. It's a compelling case as well, to be fair, because it's a 7-year-old, right? He's having his novice chase campaign this season, and he's been well supported and been beaten. He would have beaten Persian Tyro, I talked about in the previous race when he fell, didn't he? I guess the thing with him as well is, when you think of like a novice hurdler, it doesn't take much of a stretch to say that a novice hurdler the year after, I know they might find it hard on Open Company, but it's probably got to be half a stone better horse, isn't they? And as much as he's not had the chance to show the fence because he's making mistakes and falling, like, he probably is very well handicapped. I think that's a shout, mate. Well, it looks like I might have a little bit of a. I'm going to fucking bet him all tonight. I mean, I'll have to have a little bit on him, to be fair. I know it's Gary Moore's back garden, isn't it? So he does run lots of horses there, but he gets winners at Sandown, doesn't he? Mate, that's a compelling enough case that I'll have a little bit of a saver on him. Right. Hard to say, I guess, because it is windy enough racing. But if you had to have a strongest bet for Sandown on Saturday, what would your strongest bet be, do you reckon?
Oh, God, a Nickelback.
Oh, yes. And then Am I Right wouldn't be far behind, I can't imagine.
Yeah. And then Gallo, I'm starting to fancy Gallo. Yeah.
Oh, nice. So, I mean, I'd have to. Oh, I don't think I'm that. I mean, I've talked statewide, but yeah, I really think Nickelback is the right bet, regardless of what the result is. So like Nickelback's a fairly confident one. Rapper each way. Again, I'm probably blinded by the fact that I like him. I think he's a proper bet, and I do think this Email Andy's quite a good horse. But I'm very aware that he could be pipped by something else. There is one that I just want to quickly mention away from it. If anyone has stayed on this long, the 205 at Leicester, right? I put up a horse last week called Radobarg on the GG Weekend Watch. Kind of flat race that I probably wouldn't have been getting too involved in, but, you know, had to do it for the content. The ground dried up like bitterly for it. William Buick couldn't find a gap, held on to him for ages, but he stayed on quite nicely. I think he's a proper bet in here. Darryl really likes Thunder Raw, so you go really bet their column for that. Alma Peer normally needs a run before he wins a race. He's been had his penis taken off as well. He's been gelded. So Alma Peer probably is a fair price considering he won the race at even money. But it's a proper 3-horse race as far as I'm concerned. Alma Peer, Radobarg, and Thunder Raw. Now Thunder Raw is going to get loads of weights from this Radobarg, but I think Radobarg can do it. I think it's been raining around Leicester. It's going to be baddish ground. So I have had a reasonable each way bet on Radobarg. About 100 each way on him at 9-2. Again, it's sort of a holding price. I think he could get a little bit bigger, but I cannot for the life of me in a smaller field see how he doesn't get a run. And if he gets a run, there are not 3 horses that are better than him in this race. So I think he's got a proper chance. So obviously we're doing Sandown, but because I'm not going to do an all my bets video, but I've had a good bet on that one, I thought I'd mention it. So do with that what you will. Jamie, excited about Punchestown? You touched on the fact we'll be back Monday to do that, or a couple of previews across the week. That'll be it. We'll talk next week, I guess, then. You happy with that?
Perfect. Talk to you soon.
Boom. Right, let's chop it off there. Thank you for all your support, guys. It's been real good through the season. We'll do some sort of wind up as well at some point as well, I guess. But for now, this is the end of it. Enjoy your weekends, and we will see you on Monday.